Straight talk from Israel. You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
Welcome to the Science of Kabbalah with your hosts, Rabbi Yitzhak Michelson and William Hall, here on Israel News Talk Radio.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Science of Kabbalah here on IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com. This is Rabbi Yitzhak.
And this is William Hall. How are you today, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. It's
brother from another mother.
It's still hot here in the land, in Israel, in the holy city of Tzfat. And other than that, we're getting settled into the new place. We're very happy here, and it's amazing. I'm looking out my window. I can see the Kever Ari HaKadosh. I can see Rabbi Shimon and Meron across, and I can sit here and do my hitbodedut and just spend my time just staring out the window all day and getting nothing accomplished. What about you?
I would say that scene was similar for me yesterday. I took my brother out on the boat. We did some fishing. Let me rephrase that. We did some casting. Didn't do any fishing or catching.
Well,
but we had a nice cloud cover, good scenery. Stopped for a little drink at the hamburger joint and had a good day. It was relaxing. Been a long time coming.
You didn't stop at the fish store on the way home? No fish tails?
No, I probably should have. Kind of impressed the wife if I came home with an actual large fish.
Yeah, that's true. We used to do that every once in a while. Yeah, I told my wife that I used to, in my earlier days when I used to go fishing all the time once a week when I'd come home from work, the only thing I brought with me was heroes and beer.
That's funny.
Or subs. Some parts of the country they call it subs. Anyway.
Right.
Or sandwiches. Anyway, serious note. So I'm very excited today. We have a very special guest. Actually, it's a very interesting story, which I will tell after we come back from the break. But this is somebody that I've known for 2 years. We've known each other. We go to the same synagogue. We see each other every Shabbat. We see each other in passing on the street. I live in a simta. A simta is an alleyway in Tzfat, and we see each other all the time, and we say hello all the time. And lo and behold, it's one of those stories where you know people, but you don't know them, and then you find out these amazing things about them, and then there are new connections that are made, and so it's really going to be an exciting show today. We're going to be talking, of course, as always, on the subject from a Kabbalistic perspective, so you're not going to want to miss it. Stay with us. We're going to a short break, and we'll be right back here on the Science of Kabbalah on IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com.
The return of the Jewish people to the land of Israel was prophesied in the Bible thousands of years ago and is coming true today. Shalom. Join me, Josh Wander, on Israel Unplugged. Listen in as we delve into the spiritual and physical aspects of the Jewish return to Zion. We'll discuss the biblically mandated, historic, and of course practical understandings of this incredible transition from exile to redemption. That's Israel Unplugged, every Monday on IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com.
Welcome back to Science of Kabbalah with Rabbi Yitzhak Michelson and William Hall, here on Israel News Talk Radio.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Science of Kabbalah. So I was saying before the break, William, about our special guest, and I was saying that it's a very interesting story. So here's the story. They said we live in this simta, we live in this alleyway, and oftentimes people are always looking for directions. People want to go to the Abu Hav synagogue, which has a Sefer Torah from hundreds of years ago from the time of the Ari HaKadosh. People are always asking for directions, and oftentimes people say to me, "Oh, where is the winery?" And I say, "Which one?" There's Abu Hav Winery, there's Tzfat Winery, and they say, "No, we want to go to Yashfe." And I say, "Well, I know it's somewhere in the Simta, but I'm not sure." And then a friend, a very close, was here at the house, and we were talking, and I mentioned the name, and I said, Yechiel, and he said, Yechiel, that's Yashfe. And I said, what do you mean that's Yashfe? And so it turns out that he is the winemaker, this Rabbi Yechiel, who I've seen every Shabbat for the last 2 years. And then I walked up to him, I think it was on Shabbat or the next time I saw him, And I said, Echze, how is this? How is this that we know each other for 2 years and I never knew that you were the winemaker? So that's the story. So that's our special guest today. So Rabbi Yechiel was born in Yerushalayim in 1944. And I love the story. I think everybody is a Baal Tshuva. When people say they're from birth, I remember I tell that story about the guy that walked into the rabbi looking for a job, and he said to the big Rav, and he said, "Oh, by the way, I'm not a Baal Tshuva." And the Rav looked at him and said, "Why not?" Came to Judaism at 40 years old, but he learned the Kabbalah with one of the greats. I mean, really with one of the masters of the modern age of Kabbalah, Rabbi Brandwein, who comes from a long line of Hasidic masters, the Maggid of Mizrach, Rav Levi Yitzhak of Berditchev, and all of these greats. And so I'm really excited to have him on the show. So welcome, my friend.
Welcome.
It's nice to have you. So one of the amazing things about your wine is that it's a wine that's made without any additives. You don't add anything to it. You don't put yeast in it. You don't put sugar in it. And you basically do wine the way wine is supposed to be. I mean, you still stomp the grapes like the old style. So I'd like you to talk about that, about how, because I know you had a different life. I believe this is called the science of Kabbalah. I think you know a little bit about science too, because I believe you were an engineer involved in aerospace and aeronautics.
Could I ask, before we go too far, can I ask a selfish question about wine?
Sure, why not?
I will promise you I'll forget to ask if
Okay.
I don't do it now.
All right, so ask.
Please, just real quickly and briefly, can you explain to me what sulfites are and why are they bad?
Let's say like this. In the Torah it's written, Yain yesamach levav enosh. It means everybody have to be happy with the wine. So you find out that a lot of people are suffering from the wine, became drunk from the wine, go out of their mind when they're driving, and many bad things happen. So it's a real question. How the Torah said wine is samach levav enosh, and you find a phenomena which is totally not so exactly. And the answer is the bisulfite. Because when the God talk about the wine, I used to write on the bottle the wine that had been trodden by a man and all the rest by the God. And in Hebrew, היין הנדרך ברגליים והשאר בידי שמיים. It means the God tell you you're involved in the wine only very small thing, only trodden the wine. All the rest I'm doing. So, of course, don't put any additive, don't put any yeast, don't do anything. So everybody asking, so how the wine can be done? It's not normal.
Right.
Because everybody, when you want a wine, you know to go to a winery, see big machines and all system and procedure. And of course, the bisulfite is the main in this. Because they have to kill the original yeast and to put their own yeast. There's artificial yeast, and a lot of systeming you have to study, sometimes 1 year, how to make a wine. And it's not logic, because Noach had not any faculty of wine. So when he just go out from the ark, he make a wine. So how? Without any systems. So this is penetrant to my mind, that there is a secret in the wine. And this secret I'm going to tell you now.
Okay.
The people know that to make a wine, you need a yeast. It's an animal. It's the sugar, which is in the grapes. We used to say the grapes is a vessel of a wine that is not ready. You have to do something. What to do? Only to trodden them, not more than this. Because immediately the yeast, original yeast, which you can find in the North Pole and the South Pole, every place in all the world. You have a grape, you have a yeast. And they are coming to the grapes and stay on the shell of the grapes. So once you make a hole in the shell, immediately the yeast begin to eat the sugar, and they used to make the 3 basic things that everybody know. or maybe know. First, to change the sugar to be a wine. Second, to make the gas CO2. And third, the alcohol. That's all everybody know.
Mm-hmm.
But to most of the people, when they try to make in such a way a wine, they get a vinegar. They don't get the wine.
Right.
So I think in California, they are the first place they study to work with the bisulfite. I'm not sure. For a few 150 years, I don't know exactly. I never learned about it, but somebody told me that by killing the yeast, and now you take care on the process yourself by the artificial yeast, and again bisulfite, and so and so and so and so and so. By chance, you have what you called wine, but as a matter of fact, you got a very spoiled wine. The original wine have to be with nothing. So people ask me how, and the answer is there is a secret in the wine. This, when you make the wine with only trodden the grapes, only this way. Now the yeast is not doing only three things. He has the fourth most important thing. In Hebrew it's meaning, in English not. In Hebrew it's called shmarim. Shmarim is from the word shomer, guarder. So the yeast has the fourth, the most important thing. He guard on the wine. So, but he check who is the one that take care to make the wine. So if you, when you will hear now, I think that's the first time in your life that you will hear it. It's that he know if you are a goy or if you are a Jew. Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
And I checked it. All what I said is after a lot of experience and checking, more than 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's reality. He know if you are a goy or if you are a Jew. If you are a goy, you can make this wine this way, and nothing happened to the wine. You can never cause it to be a vinegar. But if you are a Jew, he check which kind of Jew. Because Yaakov, he is another. He's humble. The opposite of Esau, who is a proud. So the wine is coming from the olam of Atzilut, which is a proud word.
Mm-hmm.
Atzilut. So Esau and the wine feel together. We are both arrogant, we both the opposite of the humble. And Yaakov, you are the small. You have to be humble. So if you are not humble, the same you take the bottle, you pour it to two kind of Jews. One is humble, and the other is very high, proud and arrogant. And you see something unbelievable. The glass with the wine to the humble man, it's with fantastic taste. The other guy, it will be sour from the same bottle. And more than this, you are a Jew. And you appear as a very arrogant guy, a very important guy. And when you taste the wine, it will be sour, unbelievable sour. But if you, in the same moment, and because it's happened a lot of time in my house, you decide, you change somehow your feeling, and you take out all your selfishness and all your egoism and all your proud, and you say, wow, at the same moment, the same glass, at your hand will become to be the best wine. When I saw it many times, you can't imagine. So it means that the yeast check which kind of Jew are you. And that is cause a problem. Because the wine like this, you cannot sell to any Jew. You don't know. He can tell you, what's going on? You sold me a vinegar. And it's written in the Gemara. If you want to check me, very easy. You open Baba Batra, Tzadik Chet,
Okay.
Amud Aleph. It's meaning Rabbi Yossi say, if you buy a wine for somebody that his wine used to be good, and it's become, you open it, and it's become to be sour, mazalcha garam. And he take it from Chavakuk, Perek Bet, it's Gever Yahir Yachmitz Yain. It's written by the prophet himself.
Right.
So this is unbelievable. It's reality.
Wow.
It's not something that is written, it's reality. So now coming to the question of why I make the wine.
So before we get to that, we're going to have to go to a break. And when we come back, we'll start talking about the whole process and you making the wine. Stay with us. We're going to be right back, everybody, here on the Science of Kabbalah.
Hi, I'm Steve Miller.
And I'm Matt Zucker.
Join us for Lighten Up, where we take a look at the week's current events in Israel and from around the Jewish world through a humorous lens.
If you've been paying attention during these crazy times, you know that it's a challenge to parody life anymore. But join Steve and I as we give it the old college try. Not only is being happy an obligation, but life is just too short to take it all so seriously.
So join me, Steve Miller,
And me, Matt Zucker,
for Lighten Up every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Israel, only on IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com.
Welcome back to Science of Kabbalah with Rabbi Yitzchak Michelson and William Hall here on Israel News Talk Radio.
Welcome back to another session of Israel News Talks Radio, Science of Kabbalah, with our special guest, Yechiel, the winemaker. Hey, earlier we were talking about some really interesting things about the yeast and the vinegar and the whole idea of what is these sulfites or sulfites, however you want to say that. And it's interesting to see all the spiritual aspects you pulled out of that on how one perceives and how one receives. So, and I think that's where we're headed now. You're going to tell us a bit more about the process and kind of connect that spiritually.
Good. So the idea is, as I said, that the yeast, the gardener of the wine.
Shomer.
It's Shomer Hayain. And not only winemaker, also he guard on the wine. Why? He check your soul. So we know from Tehillim that David HaMelech, he hates the yeast. Why? Because the yeast represents the Ratzon Lekabel, the egoism. So that's why he hates the yeast, and he loves the wine. And we know that the halacha, before Shabbos, you put the wine with the yeast in a meshameret, so the yeast remain in the meshameret, and you get the wine without the shmarim. So when I study with Rabbi Barline, I asked them, tell me how it's happened that my yeast, the original, we speak about the original, not spoiled, not dead, no any bisulfite which kill you and kill the shmarim, and kill your mind and kill your body. It's a pure. So how it comes that it became to be sweet? Because everybody tastes my yeast. They say, wow, it's so tasty. The yeast is so tasty, so sweet. How it's possible? So all my friends around me, we learn about Tzimtzum Bet. All the idea of the work of the Jew is to correct Tzimtzum Bet. It's mean to cause that the hair will come back. It's that the Olamot Bia will come back to be Atzilut. So everybody shout, Yechiel finishes the Tikkun. It means the yeast become now Ratzon Lekabel Amenat Lashpia.
Okay.
It means he corrects the Ratzon Lekabel. So Rabbi Vrandwein, he smiled because he know that we as a Baal Tshuva, that is our aiming. Because to be bad, we know how to do it.
Right.
But to be good in the way of the Torah, it's become to be very difficult. Because you overcome all your nature. And it's a real hard work. And David HaMelech is the first Baal Tshuva. So that's why he hates the Ratzon Lekabel. And he works on himself. So who makes the Gmar Tikkun? Shlomo. His son, so he can build the temple. David did not finish it yet. He was full with fighting. But Shlomo with the peace. It means he's a real Baal Tshuva that finished to correct himself. So we as a Baal Tshuva, that is our work. to fight against our nature and to change our character, to change our wish to get to ourselves, to be influenced and to change ours, to influence, think good about everybody, which is very difficult, especially in this time. So that's why they laugh and say, wow, he finished his tikkun, the Shema became sweet.
Right. So you talk about Ratzon Lekabel, we're talking about the idea of the will to receive for selfish reasons, for ourselves alone, where Hashem gives. The whole idea of the tikkun, which we talk about just so people that don't understand what he's saying, is this idea that we have to change our nature. Our nature is usually in order to receive for ourselves alone, and the tikkun, the repair, the rectification, is for us to change our nature to be people who are willing to receive in order to give out.
Exactly.
Right.
That is the man of Rabbi Ashland.
Right, right. The Balasulam. Right.
So it's mean that why the wine have to be in a process of two things. First, to trodden by the man, you have to trodden your shell yourself.
Right.
It's mean you make a tikkun of yourself.
To crush.
To crush.
Right.
And Ari said, when you crush it, you have to take the right hand, Rachel, the left hand, Leah, Rachel, Leah, Rachel, Leah, Rachel, Leah. You have to make the tikkun of Rachel, which is the low, Chut, and Leah, which is the Bina.
Bina.
So you have to work on this. So when you make the wine in this way, so you begin to make the wine in the Kabbalah way. So you get all this spirituality. And I can tell you, everybody, when you see me and my people that I try to find, those who not only keep Shabbat, but work on themselves. And you see, it's unbelievable, so big happiness in the time of trodding the wine. You see, and everybody smiling and feeling I can stand on them for 8 hours without feeling tired. I'm not 3 years old.
Right.
You have to add few years.
Mm-hmm.
So how you can do it? Because it's a lot of feeling of spirituality work. You feel it, and the air is full with spirituality when you make the wine like this.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to wait 40 days. Moshe climbed to the mountain 40 days. A wine to be poured on the altar, you have to wait 40 days. These 40 days is essential that the wine changes character from only be meshaker to be with the ability to make you happy. So you need these 40 days. So everybody that make a wine look about me as a not so normal, because when they make the wine, 10 days is too much, and you have to begin to make blah blah blah, a lot of process, things that are just trodden on the grapes. Put everything in a jar, part of them in a clay jar, to be a clay coming from Hebron, to fill the earth of Avraham Avinu.
Right.
So you get the taste of Avraham Avinu. I have to give you one bottle like this. Okay. It's unbelievable taste. And to wait 40 days, including everything. It's totally against every law of making wine.
Well, but commercial wine, but not.
We speak about the
Torah,
when you speak wine,
Torah, yes.
It's a commercial.
Right.
They don't know the Torah way.
Right.
So now we heard about the Torah way. That is the Torah way. And I ask people, when you come to Usha, you can see all very old caves. They make the grapes, the wine, and everything. And ask the people around me, you don't have a special question? So I ask you, what is a special question? It's a pit, open to the air, all the grape with wine in there, not closed from oxygen. It's totally against all what everybody learned about how to make wine,
right.
How it is. And the answer is unbelievable, because the God is doing the wine, and He knows the secret, how to make the wine. Because this yeast causes two things. That's cause that there is a CO2. The CO2 is a gas that causes all the shell to raise up, including seed, and it's cover all the wine. And that's for halacha. when you want to make a masot on trupot, you call it mekapeh. It means you take this cover out. In this moment, it's a wine, and you have to make masot or trumot. So the God himself causes there will be a cover. You don't need to make a cover. Unbelievable. And so that's why they are just praying not rain to come. Air, no problem. So you take all these shells and everything. Now you have the wine. And now you take the wine, put it in a jar for long. You can stay. Think that I have a wine for more than 23 years. And the last bottle that I drank before 5 years is so sweet, so good, so tasty. I have wine for more than 20 years with nothing, no additives. Never spoiled.
And it doesn't spoil.
The opposite.
The opposite, it gets better.
And better and better and better
Wow.
and better. Because it's real, the wine is spirituality. It's not just a process. And the God is doing the wine. So that's why you have to go to the way of the Torah. And we pray that every Jew, now it's coming to understanding, ish tahat gafno v'tenato. Because everybody can make his own wine. Just have to take the grape, to throw them, to put it in a jar, wait 40 years and finish. 40 days, finish, you have the wine.
Well, it makes sense because in halakha, if you don't have wine for kiddush, they say to take raisins, and you put the raisins and you put water in and you let the raisins ferment. And after the raisins ferment, you're allowed to say kiddush over that. And you're not putting anything in it. You're not doing anything. You don't have it in a big steel drum.
What you said now, it's very important.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's the Chachomim gives the people ability to make a kiddush in a way that it's a kiddush. But if you want to keep to what Rambam said, the Rambam said in Shabbos, when you want to make the kiddush of Shabbos, you have to take a wine that can be put on the altar. It's been minimum 40 days.
Right.
No any additives. So our wine is the best for making kiddush.
And this is why I say people look at me like I'm crazy when I say that Hashem also likes wine. Because I put a wine libation. We put a wine on the altar. Hashem says it's a sweet savor to him. I love this topic. I love wine. And the beauty of it is that when you drink a wine from Yashfe Winery, you're not only not affected the way you would normally be by wine. You don't get that from the commercial production of the sulfites and things like that.
By the way, it's very important to know it, and you can publish it against the law. You can take one bottle of Yashfe wine and go to the car and drive. You will be the best driver in the world.
Right.
Happy, and nothing happens.
And nothing happens.
And one policeman take my wine and he check it. He say, when you first drink, you feel the alcohol. After 15 minutes,
nothing.
No alcohol.
We're going to have to go to a break, so stay with us. Yeah, we'll be right back here on the Science of Kabbalah.
Are you tired of political correctness and the fear that you might offend someone?
I'm not afraid to offend you.
Wow, look who's talking tough.
One has to be tough to keep sane today.
Hi, I'm Alan Skorsky.
And I'm Bela Seabrow.
And join us every Wednesday for The Definitive Wrap as we interview the most sought-after guests and expose progressive trends that masquerade as enlightenment but actually destroy our freedoms.
We are the No Woke Zone, so buckle up to this exciting show.
Buckling up, but I'm driving.
Sure, you can drive, but I'm the navigator.
Tune in for the No Nonsense, The Definitive Wrap Show, every Wednesday on Israel News Talk Radio.
Welcome back to Science of Kabbalah with Rabbi Yitzchak Michelson and William Hall here on Israel News Talk Radio.
Welcome back, everyone, to our last segment of the Science of Kabbalah. It's been a very, very exciting and interesting show with my neighbor and guest, Rabbi Yechiel Yashfe of Yashfe Winery. He's given us some great information. Before the break, before we finished, you were talking about the concept of Kiddush. And you've given us some really great insights spiritually. But there are other things that really, the importance, the sanctification. We use wine for so many things in Judaism, for certainly for the sanctification of Shabbat with Kiddush, for weddings, for Brit Milah, for Havdalah, for all these different things. So maybe you can talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay, first, the word Kiddush is from the word Kedusha. עמך כולם צדיקים, לעולם ירשו ארץ. מה אני קדוש, אף אתם קדושים. וכמו it was said in the beginning, ראיתם לי סגולה מכל העמים, ממלכת כהנים וגוי קדוש. So Rabbi Ashlag say simply, ממלכת כהנים is a job to love each other, to change our character from egoist to egoist on the condition to give, not only to take to ourselves, not be selfish, think about your brother and give him because the God asked you to do it. Because by this you became to be a holy, you be kadosh. And so the Torah, it's a lot speaking about the Kohanim. But about Mamlechet Kohanim, Goy Kadosh, only few words. No explanation about why. And Rabbi Ashlag said very simple. Because that is the salary. The reason of making the mitzvahs is that you will be, what is the salary? You will be kadosh. It means you'll be like me. You will be near to me. So the Jewish nation, and that's why Esav shout, because Yaakov got this position, to be near to Kadosh Baruch Hu and to live forever, which is Olam Haba. So now it speaks that Kadosh, we have to understand, we talk about the God himself. And the Kedusha is the Kedusha coming from him. So how you can be holy? By two things. First, you come to the level, love your brother as you love yourself. I, the God, is your brother. Don't make the mistake. I am your brother. You have to love me. When you love me, so you can be near to me, you appreciate me. So it's coming by the world of Atzilut. The world of Atzilut is Etzlo. It's the most nearest to the God. It's the spirit of Chokhmah. So the wine is coming from this. The secret of wine is 70. Yud Nun is 70. And 70 is a sod. The secret, Samech Vav Dalet, is a 70.
70.
So there is a secret, first secret, that the wine is coming straight from the hand of the God himself. That is very important to know. But at the same time, you have to understand that the oil coming also from this wine. But we have two sides of the Atzilut. The right side, which is the olive oil, that you raise it by the Kohen up. The left side, which is the Chokhmah, is coming from up down. So that is the secret of the sword that in the wine itself. That I said, if you are Esav, you are arrogant like him, no problem. But if you are a Jew, you have to make a nadan, I don't call it, the cover the sword by be very, very humble man. So you have to come to be a humble man. So when you come to make the Kedusha, you have to come with full feeling of humbling. Don't drink the wine like Esau. You have, when you make the Kiddush, you must come with a lot of humbling to the wine itself. So that's why we have to look and to think and to put attention to it. And now the Torah said, as halacha, you have to take two hands. Each hand is 14. If you make what is hen yad, yud plus dalet is 14. So 2 yad is 28. And you put it on the third yad is another 14. You come to membet, the shem membet. So the wine is now on the shem of the geula, shem membet, which by this the God take us from Egypt. So that's why we mention Egypt. So we have to be very careful when we make the kiddush, to think very careful that what we are doing, we near ourselves to be near the God. So you can't come, you have to make it with a lot of thinking, a lot of humbling way of thinking, to be things that you are now going to be with the God when you make the Kiddush. So now you understand why we need the Kiddush in any holy thing. Because the holiness, the Kedusha, It's part of the wine because he himself holy. That's why we have to think about very seriously. And now, just the last information, Yaakov came to Egypt with 70 children, 70 nefesh. It's against the 70 nefesh of the goyim. So the 70 against the 70, because we have 70 klipot. So Yaakov, when you come with the 70, with the secret of the sod, of the wine, you have to fight the klipa. So it's a fight, a real fight. So that's why when you do the wine, you have to be very holy. You cannot come, blah, blah, blah. Once you make blah, 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 you need to be sulfite, you have to kill the yeast, and you have to kill the people that drink this wine. And a lot of people cannot drink the wine. And when you drive with wine, the artificial wine, I call it artificial wine, you are a murderer on the road.
Right.
But if you come from the side of the holiness, you are the best driver on the road. Very humble man, very nice to others. You will never shout at other people. You will be nice. Everybody want to push over you. Okay, nothing happened. You see that you will drive different. Check me. Take Yashfe wine. Take a bottle. I'm telling you. You want only half a bottle? Okay, half a bottle. And try to drive. You see that you are the best driver. So nice, so kind person. It changed your character. That is we used to say that the wine is a healing. It's heal you. First, from your egoism. But you must come to it in this way. And you have to take a wine that is done pure, with no any things that destroy all his character. And you must know, just as a last word about it, the wine is really healing. If you ask a doctor, he will tell you, if you are an old guy and your blood, you call it all the orakim, on the tunnel of the blood is running.
Right, the vessels.
The vessels.
Yeah.
It's with a lot of cholesterol.
Mm-hmm.
Take wine, but you have to take a red pure.
Wine. Red wine.
And red, it will clean all your cholesterol.
Mm-hmm.
And my aunt, Zichronah Livracha, she said he must boil this. So I said, why? Because I cannot drink it. It's too high alcohol. I said, no, the bisulfite. By boiling it, you cause that the bisulfites go out. Now you can drink it, and it's heal you. So I gave him my bottle with, I don't need to boil it. I can drink it like this. Unbelievable. There was only small problem, the cost of the wine, not more than this.
Right.
So you have to understand that the wine is healing. And the last thing, everybody say when you're pregnant, don't drink wine. I say the opposite, because the wine is coming from the sphere of Chokhmah. If you drink the wine when you're pregnant, your son will be a genius. You want to check me? Yeah. I have a lot of student ladies that wasn't pregnant, and I was a sandak, and he told me, really he became unbelievable, smart boy, but he loved wine.
Yanuka.
Yeah, but he loved wine. So they used to drink my wine. But it makes the boy, so don't believe the people that talk bad about the wine, because they speak about the spoiled wine, which is a bisulfite, which kill you.
Right.
And if you look at the halacha, he say if you have already the baby, for the woman, take 1 glass per day. It's clean your blood, and it gives the milk to be very good for the boy. Wow. But again, you have to be pure wine.
Yes.
So I hope that everybody will do his own wine. It's the same process.
So we have a couple of minutes left. So if you could tell people a little bit about that. I know that you'll give tours if people want to come. If
so
they call you in advance.
I have in my house. It's a pleasant place, very nice old place, and I explain the wine, and giving to taste the wine, and giving the feeling of the spirituality of the wine. And the people, when they come to me, they say, wow, now we understand what its meaning is. There's only one question. And everybody asks all the time, how it can remain for a long time? What you are doing? I said, only spiritual work.
Right.
So that is the secret, spiritually work.
So
So you can come to me.
How do
you
people
can
get in
ring,
touch with you? How do they get in touch?
By or email, by telephone.
What's the email address?
The email is it's eng.y@yashfe.com.
Okay.
yashfe.com.
Okay.
And by telephone it's 054-5566-999. And I can send to America boxes and send to everybody boxes with wine, no big deal.
Right. So I'm going to tell you folks, take my word for it. I've been drinking wine for over 40 years, and I can tell you that this is some of the best wine I've ever had. And you really can tell the difference when he talks about it, and the passion you hear in his voice. It's not just because he's a winemaker. It really is from a different place. You've listened to this show enough. You know, we talk about the upper worlds. We talk about Atzilut. This wine definitely is Mishamayim. It comes from heaven with the touch of heaven. So I want to thank you, Rabbi Yechiel, for being with us. William, thanks as always for being with me. And thank you, everyone, for staying with us here every week on the Science of Kabbalah. Shalom.
If you love Israel News Talk Radio, then you'll love our Facebook page. We keep you up to date on what's happening in Israel, plus little surprise treasures that we don't share on the radio. Go now to follow us on Facebook. Just look for the Israel News Talk Radio Facebook page, and don't forget to subscribe and follow us by clicking on the like button. We post great stuff there that you'll want to share. Israel News Talk Radio on Facebook and Israel News Radio on Twitter.
If you're hearing this message, everyone else can too. Advertise with Israel News Talk Radio and get your message out to people. We'll build a personalized package for you. Contact advertising at israelnewstalkradio.com.
Straight talk from Israel. You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
Hey, this is Jake in Anchorage, Alaska, and I love listening to all the super interesting interviews and up-to-date information on what's happening in Israel.
Hello, this is Anna King, originally from London, now living in Israel. And what can I say? Israel News Talk Radio is my cup of tea.
My name is Bhaskar. I'm from India, and I love listening because you get to know the truth and wonderful voices from this lovely country.
Mom! Okay, wait a minute. Hi, this is Chava Dax, and I'm calling from the rolling hills of Ma'ale Adumim, just north of Jerusalem. I always listen to Israel News Talk Radio to get all the latest news and commentary and to keep me up to date every day.
This is Sarah Dax from Ma'ale Adumim, and I'm 12. I wish Israel News Talk Radio was boring so my mom wouldn't listen to it all the time. Mom!
You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
News, opinion, and more. You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.